Hi everyone, Goldie here, and today I'm with Kevin Lindsay, who's the Director of Product Marketing here at Adobe. Woo! We are in a beautiful landscaped
lavender field
cafeteria here at Adobe. So you're able to see behind the scenes a little bit. And in fact, let's start with a question about behind the scenes. We're gonna get back into creativity and some of those other fun things, but let's start with the back end. Let's start with data.
Yes.
Yes.
Data has been a big part of my life for a long time. I've been at Adobe for more than a decade. Mm-hmm. And really the focus of my career for many years was looking at data, how we connect the dots, mm-hmm. what data is important, and what data should be ignored, and how you make sense of it and actually do something with it. Right. So that's obviously really critical. Was 10 years ago, still is. It's an constantly moving target in terms of how we, really do something with data. I still care very, very much about data, but I'm starting to think more about the intersection between data and content, and really how that's going to inform the kinds of great experiences that consumers want.
So since you said data and content, can we go a little bit into what are data touch points within content? What are certain metrics that are important when we think about content?
Well, there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. I mean, we can look at the role that data plays actually in the creative process itself. Mm-hmm. And then we can think about the role of data in the downstream manifestation of content, and how we measure its effectiveness, and how we measure, how different audiences respond to it, how we measure the impact it has to our businesses in terms of purchases or lifetime value or engagement, mm-hmm. all those kinds of things. And certainly we're thinking about that entire spectrum. Right. And that's why, when we talk about content and data, we really have to blur that conversation, because so much of what we do.
You're talking about content and customers and consumers, right? The two C's.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it can be confusing for people to really kind of, get their head around it in terms of what is our data strategy? Right. Because data is just pervasive, and I think most organizations now realize that it's a part of everything they do. Right. And it's critical to the customer experience in so many ways, and it goes far beyond just kind of measurement and reporting, but needs to be a much more embedded aspect of all of it.
Yes. Well, I think it needs to be more than just you receive a report at the end of the month. Right. That, and I work with clients and they want that report at the end of the month. And for some of them, they look at that and then they analyze it, which I love. Yeah. And then we talk about it. And for some of my clients, they look at it and then it gets tossed out the window, at which point, what use are those metrics? Yeah,
I think that there's some value in reports, and we all are going to take comfort in having a report that we can lean on, refer to. But the report, when you said the end of the month, that's really a rear view mirror view of what's going on in the business. And I think most businesses realize today, and this is a big evolution that we've seen in the last decade, but most businesses realize today that if data is not real time and it's not reflecting kind of what's happening in the business right now, and I can act on it in some immediate way, and there's some predictive element to it, it's not very useful.
Right, and definitely giving as many team members as possible access, I think, to that data in real time, so it isn't just something that happens every 2 weeks or at the end of every month, but everyone on the team, on that certain team, can follow along and see what's happening.
Well, that's a really good point. And I would add to that the data also needs to be in context, of the job that we actually do. Yes. So if you're a content person, you want data exposed to you in the tools that you use every day. When you show up here for work and log into whatever, you
guys, you can't see this right now, but I'll do a little video. So we just looked up, and to totally interrupt, there are just boxes on the ceiling right now. There's a raven. Yeah. I just noticed that's in that one light. So
I hadn't noticed that before.
I will show you guys this in a little bit. I completely interrupted. Please.
So I think whether I sit here at a picnic table in our cafeteria or in my office upstairs, I want data accessible to me in the apps that I use and are meaningful to me, to give me the insights that I need, not like all the extraneous data that maybe, might not be extraneous to everyone,
Right.
but other
it just
people.
Depends on what's
it
important.
depends on what's important. It depends on what your job is and the impact that you can have.
Right.
If you're working within your digital asset management system and you can actually get insights from downstream that tell you a particular asset is very popular and actually performs well in channels, in particular channels, that's very insightful to you. And if you're a creative, you want to know that too. You want to know if you're building, beautiful assets within the Creative Cloud, that they're having some downstream impact.
Yes, and I think that's a perfect segue to talking about creativity, content, and we've just talked about data. So let's get into creativity. Yeah. And I am a huge fan of Adobe. I've been using Photoshop since before I could walk. No, just kidding. I wish though, but I love Adobe Creative Cloud, and so many artists use it, so many creative people, and actually so many slightly non-creative people use it to add a creative element to their work. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
I would love to, and certainly there are many experts here at Adobe who can go into creativity as a topic all day long. And I think, for me, coming from the world of optimization and personalization, when we think about the customer experience, it all starts with an idea.
Yes. And,
in that kind of data geek, kind of, optimization, testing kind of world, that idea then can lead us to some sort of hypothesis. Yes. Hey, I think that people in this particular market segment would respond really well to this piece of creative or this lifestyle image. So it can start with an idea or a great new campaign idea. So I think there's no denying that everybody's got some aspect of creativity within them. You get people that'll say, I'm more of an analytical person than a creative person. But I think that we all possess both, but just in various degrees. But to your point around creativity and really the democratization of creative tools, we're definitely seeing a lot of that. And the apps that we have, like Adobe Premiere, are obviously used for really serious, beautiful video stuff that shows up in movies. But all the way to an application like Rush.
Yes, I was about to say Rush.
that really brings tools and capabilities to people who aren't the pros.
Right. Or I'm right now recording this video on my iPhone, so now I can go into Adobe Rush on my iPhone and I can edit directly in there. And I think that is always powerful to be able to do everything on your mobile device and on the go.
I think that's really important. We're going to see much more of that. When I think about it from the content perspective and how an enterprise thinks about content, obviously it's leading to this explosion of content. We've got more content than we know what to do with. That's why it's really important that the data helps us understand what to do with it, to whom a particular piece of content is going to resonate with, so that we know how to manage that explosion of content. But I think we don't want to
it's really this ideas, which we talked about before, and then testing those various ideas and data, which sounds like a scary word when you're a creative person, is not so scary because it's really just validating if these ideas work or not. That's what data does.
I think so, and I think a few years ago that this idea of data and analytics,
data was such a big monster of an idea.
I don't think the creatives are afraid of it anymore.
Good.
I think that they want it.
Don't be, guys.
Exactly. And so I could be proven wrong, but I believe that there's so much coming together of these concepts. Data is going to further enhance creativity, probably. Give us even more ideas once we get these insights and these learnings from how some of our assets actually have an impact out there in consumer channels.
Right. So amazing. Thank you so much for chatting about everything. This has been so fun.
Yeah.
So everyone, please follow, of course, everything that Adobe is doing, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.